Welcome back to the next episode in the series on modifying a Spirit Halloween Proton pack. So you can see that from this, the cosmetic modifications to the pack are complete. And today we're going to install the Frankengeek Laboratories pack sound and light upgrade kit. This is a really easy modification, won't take very long at all. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and remove the paper from my lens covers. And we're ready to get started. So there's only two main pieces, I should say three main pieces to doing the pack upgrade. First is the main cyclotron board. This contains the power supply, all the logic, and the audio player. That gets installed directly in place of the original cyclotron lights that came with the Spirit pack. You're going to use the original screws, and if you're curious about how we got to this point, please check out the other videos on my channel. We've also got the power cell board. This is going to go in place up here. And we've got a package with the wiring. So there's the cable that goes between the cyclotron and the power cell, and two toggle switches, which you can install wherever you like. Most people will opt to install them in the wand. You could install them on the pack if you want to, or if you're using a Spangler wand, for instance, and you want to have all the sounds. Also included in my kit is an upgraded speaker that goes in the original mounting location. I'm actually not going to be using that for this particular build. I'm using an upgraded speaker, and we're going to be installing a 3.5-inch speaker through the motherboard. So I will show you how to plug that in. So the first thing we're going to do to get started is we're going to mount the main cyclotron board. So we're going to use the original tiny screws that you saved from the disassembly of the original one. Got a small screwdriver here. I've stuck a magnet on the screwdriver blade to magnetize it because these screws are really hard to hold on to, and this just makes life a lot easier. So just go ahead and reinstall those 4 screws. And cyclotron board is now installed. Next up, we're going to mount the power cell board. So you'll notice when you take a close look here, there are 2 printed circuit board standoffs here. Those are there to kind of help position the board when you drop it in, and then the cable's on the back. So you're going to position this with the cable connector pointing toward the inside of the pack. You're going to get that lined up against the far edge near the top, and then we're going to fix it in place just with a good old glue gun. So you don't need to go nuts here, just a couple of dabs along the edge are enough to hold this in place. And that's pretty much all you need to do to mount that. You just want to make sure that everything's level. Adjust it a little bit. As it starts to cool, then you can flip it over and check the position if you need to. So we'll take a look here. That looks pretty good. Everything looks even in there. A little hard to see. Just want to make sure that that's straight. While that's cooling, we're going to go ahead and start connecting the cables. So there are a number of connectors down here on the cyclotron board. This green connector here is where you're going to connect your battery. They're marked plus and minus for positive and negative. If you have a battery pack with leads, positive is usually the red wire, negative is usually the black wire. You've got a long 12 position cable plug here. So you're going to plug your cable into that. It is keyed so it only goes in one direction. And then you're going to plug the other side into the power cell. And now you've got that connected. Next thing you're going to connect are two toggle switches that come in the pack. So these have pretty lengthy leads. They're designed that way in case you want to mount the leads in the thrower, in the wand. You don't have to. Like I said, you can mount them on the pack if you wanted to go for a simpler installation. Since I'm going to be covering the wand modification in another video, I'm just going to temporarily install these. So, once again, simply plug one into the connector labeled Song, the other into the connector labeled Power. So, rather intuitively, the one labeled Power is what you're going to use to turn the pack on and off. The one labeled Song will start the playback of the theme song and soundtrack. Next up, there's a connector up here labeled Speaker. You're going to plug your speaker into that. I'm going to go ahead just for temporary use, temporary test purposes, and plug my small speaker in right there, just like that. And then you've got two connectors, one here, one over here. This is where you're going to plug one of your wands in. If you use the one labeled Spirit Wand, you're going to be plugging the original Spirit Halloween wand electronics in. It means you've had no modifications to the wand. You're using just what it came with originally. This connector labeled FG wand is where you're going to plug in the Frankengeek wand kit if you were using that. The last thing I'm going to point out is there is an aux jack here, a 3.5mm stereo connector. This is an auxiliary output. It is used if you want to connect a larger amplifier to it to have a much larger speaker or much more powerful speaker. It is not an input. Please don't connect your Spangler wand to it. You may find that it works, but it will not work for long, I promise you. Lastly, we're going to connect power to our green terminal block here. For this build, I am going to be using one of these 6 AA battery packs that I sell in my shop. I've attached a piece of Velcro to the bottom of it, and I'm going to mount it up near where the original Spirit battery holder went. So we're going to stick it right there. And like I said, along with the battery holder, I also ship the battery holder with the 9-volt style tab connector and a long lead. You're just going to connect those to the power connectors. Red wire to the positive terminal, black wire to the negative terminal, and then make your final connection to the battery. And I should have put this pack the other way around. Go. So now if I flip the switch that is for power, this one, you'll see that the pack powers up. Now I have the song switch on as well, so it starts playing music immediately. If I turn the song switch off, the playback stops. Now the last thing I'll do just to demonstrate this is plug in an original Spirit wand. This is going to plug in right here. You can see down here. And then simply by pressing the button on top of the wand, I get all of the sound and also the white LED flashing in the tip. The one other thing that my kit does when you have it connected to the original wand is it turns that red LED on permanently. So when the wand is, or the pack is powered up, that wand LED is on all the time. You can also use the wand button here to control playback of the music. So if you turn the song switch to the on position and then tap the button, you can skip tracks. So that about covers the pack electronic installation. As I said, it's very, very simple. And in the next video, I'm going to cover the wand. I will be modifying a spirit wand to install the Frankengeek wand light kit and plugging this all together. I will also be doing some cosmetic upgrades on the wand. I'll be painting and adding some weathering and decals. So we'll catch you back here in the next episode.